Amazon Web Services, AWS, Terminology Flashcards. Set 7. Exponential Backoff. Exponential backoff is a strategy that incrementally increases the wait between retry attempts in order to reduce the load on the system and increase the likelihood that repeated requests will succeed. For example, client applications might wait up to 400 milliseconds before attempting the first retry, up to 1,600 milliseconds before the second, up to 6,400 milliseconds, 6.4 seconds, before the third, and so on. Extract, transform, and load, ETL. Extract, transform, and load, ETL, is a process that is used to integrate data from multiple sources. Data is collected from sources, extract, converted to an appropriate format, transform, and written to a target data store, load, for purposes of analysis and querying. Filter. Filter is a criterion that you specify to limit the results when you list or describe your Amazon EC2 resources. Filter query. Filter query is a way to filter search results without affecting how the results are scored and sorted. Specified with the Amazon Cloud Search FQ parameter. Fuzzy search. Fuzzy search is a simple search query that uses approximate string matching, fuzzy matching, to correct for typographical errors and misspellings. Geospatial search. Geospatial search is a search query that uses locations specified as a latitude and longitude to determine matches and sort the results. Gigabyte, gib. Gigabyte, gib, is a contraction of giga binary byte. A gigabyte is 2 to the power of 30th or 1,073,741,824 bytes. A gigabyte, GB, is 10 to the power of 9th or 1 billion bytes. 1024 gib is a terabyte, TIB. GitHub. GitHub is a web-based repository that uses Git for version control. Global Secondary Index. Global Secondary Index is an index with a partition key and a sort key that can be different from those on the table. A global secondary index is considered global because queries on the index can span all of the data in a table, across all partitions. Grant token. Grant token is a type of identifier that allows the permissions in a grant to take effect immediately. Group. Group is a collection of IAM users. You can use IAM groups to simplify specifying and managing permissions for multiple users. Hard bounce. Hard bounce is a persistent email delivery failure such as mailbox does not exist. Hardware VPN. Hardware VPN is a hardware-based IPsec VPN connection over the Internet. Health check. Health check is a system call to check on the health status of each instance in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group. HIT. HIT is a document that matches the criteria specified in a search request. Also referred to as a search result. Hosted zone. Hosted zone is a collection of resource record sets that Amazon root, Y53 hosts. Like a traditional DNS zone file, a hosted zone represents a collection of records that are managed together under a single domain name. Identity provider, IDP. Identity provider, IDP, is an IAM entity that holds metadata about external identity providers. Import log. Import log is a report that contains details about how AWS import/export processed your data. Import/export station. Import/export station is a machine that uploads or downloads your data to or from Amazon S3. Index field. Index field is a name-value pair that is included in an Amazon Cloud Search domain's index. An index field can contain text or numeric data, dates, or a location. Inline Policy. Inline Policy is an IAM policy that is embedded in a single IAM user, group, or role. Instance. Instance is a copy of an Amazon machine image, AMI, running as a virtual server in the AWS cloud. Instance family. Instance family is a general instance type grouping using either storage or CPU capacity. Instance group. Instance group is a Hadoop cluster contains one master instance group that contains one master node, a core instance group containing one or more core node and an optional task node instance group, which can contain any number of task nodes. Instance profile. Instance profile is a container that passes IAM role information to an EC2 instance at launch. Instance store-backed AMI. Instance store-backed AMI is a type of Amazon machine image, AMI, whose instances use an instance store volume as the root device. Compare this with instances launched from Amazon EBS-backed AMIS, which use an Amazon EBS volume as the root device. Instance type. Instance type is a specification that defines the memory, CPU, storage capacity, and usage cost for an instance. Some instance types are designed for standard applications, whereas others are designed for CPU-intensive, memory-intensive applications, and so on. Internet Service Provider, ISP. Internet Service Provider, ISP, is a company that provides subscribers with access to the Internet. Many ISPs are also mailbox providers. Mailbox providers are sometimes referred to as ISPs, even if they only provide mailbox services. Intrinsic Function. Intrinsic Function is a special action in a AWS CloudFormation template that assigns values to properties not available until runtime. These functions follow the format fn attribute, such as fn getAtt. Arguments for intrinsic functions can be parameters, pseudo-parameters, or the output of other intrinsic functions. IP address. IP address is a numerical address, for example, 192.0.2.44, that network devices use to communicate with one another using the Internet Protocol, IP. All EC2 instances are assigned two IP addresses at launch, which are directly mapped to each other through network address translation, NAT, a private IP address, following RFC 1918, and a public IP address. Instances launched in a VPC are assigned only a private IP address. Instances launched in your default VPC are assigned both a private IP address and a public IP address. Item. Item is a group of attributes that is uniquely identifiable among all of the other items. Items in Amazon DynamoDB are similar in many ways to rows, records, or tuples in other database systems. Job ID. Job ID is a 5-character, alphanumeric string that uniquely identifies an AWS import/export storage device in your shipment. AWS issues the job ID in response to a create job email command. Job prefix. Job prefix is an optional string that you can add to the beginning of an AWS import/export log file name to prevent collisions with objects of the same name. Key. Key is a credential that identifies an AWS account or user to AWS, such as the AWS secret access key. Key pair. Key pair is a set of security credentials that you use to prove your identity electronically. A key pair consists of a private key and a public key. Key prefix. Key prefix is a logical grouping of the objects in a bucket. The prefix value is similar to a directory name that enables you to store similar data under the same directory in a bucket. Kilobyte, KB. Kilobyte, kib, is a contraction of kilo binary byte. A kilobyte is 2 to the power of 10th or 1024 bytes. A kilobyte, KB, is 10 cubed or 1000 bytes. 1024 KB is a megabyte, MIB. Launch configuration. Launch configuration is a set of descriptive parameters used to create new EC2 instances in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling activity. Launch permission. Launch permission is an Amazon Machine Image, AMI, attribute that allows users to launch an AMI. Lifecycle action. Lifecycle action is an action that can be paused by auto-scaling, such as launching or terminating an EC2 instance.